I'm talking about.
I mean, it's true. It's entirely true. All right. Heidi, Heidi, ho. Yes, I'm running behind, but you know what? That's okay. That's because I woke up from a nap earlier, and I was like, oh, I got to stream in like 10 minutes. Yeah, no, we'll just put that off. And then, so I got myself organized and sat myself down here and whatnot, and started getting all this ready. And all of a sudden, this wanted to update, this tried to update, this tried to force an update. I had to do like 3 restarts, and I seem to have misplaced an entire hard drive. I'm just like, wow, it's not even Monday. What the fuck? Whatever. Whatever. Apologies to anybody who was looking forward to an article today. Sorry, I have it written. I just didn't post it last night because I'm not done. I got sidetracked with a couple of other things. So, oh well. Tomorrow's a new day. So, yeah, no, today is absolutely not the day for tech. Not at all. I'm just like, you know what? Well, better late than dead, I guess. I'll take that as an option. So yeah, today we're gonna run late, and I'm gonna get over it. Very interesting talking to my boss about how he's so calm and composed on a stressful call. There's panic on the inside. Neurodivergency for the win. I mean, maybe. The fact that you could keep that shit under wraps was kudos to you. Good on you. I don't know how long I would be able to last on that situation. Or trauma. I mean, maybe. $200 for a motherboard. Wow. That sucks. That is not a good time, let me tell you. Well, I mean, I'd love to tell you, but I'm broke. So I can't. Hi, Crazy Fish Lady. So yes, we do have a topic today. It was one that I was working on another article, but again, got sidetracked. So I was trying to like take the notes for this to put this together for a stream and do one for an article. And I don't know how. Somehow I ended up like just... I don't know if it was just I went all scatterbrained or what the deal was, but like all of a sudden now I've got like way too many things trying to happen at once when I had a great little pattern, a great little routine going for them. So I don't know how the fuck it happened. Put me down, but I'm not giving up. Good, don't. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I was doing all right, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. So I'm like, all right, well, today's going to be a fucking gong show. Oh, well. Such as it is. So, yeah, in case you didn't catch the title, today's coaching discussion, we're going to talk about how the fact that the research was primarily built on little boys, so what the science has actually been getting wrong about women, girls, AFABs, people of color, people that don't fit into that box. Yeah.
It's a nice box!
Was on the hard drive that went missing? Maybe. Clocked out for the rest of the shift. I can tell you, you can certainly tell me from your perspective. Unless you have the science in front of you. In which case, yes, you can tell me. But yeah, that's what we got today. So aside from Indy clocking over the rest of their shift because recovery, and Dan losing an entire motherboard, and miss work, yeah, okay, maybe not. I gave you the out. You don't want to take it. That's on you. That's all I'm saying. And apparently, I have cat hair all over the place from when Vegas was visiting last night. Well, I mean, If that's how you feel about it, then I'm not going to tell you no. And you got to be careful how you pronounce that word. Fuck asses. Wait, what? Yeah, not quite. That's right, you are appreciated. Yes, right in the porthole. Yes, indeed. Yes, yes, indeed. Alrighty, time for that show of hands. Here we go. Specifically, actually, to the women, ladies. I just took the bags out of the box. Oh. And those of you who fit under that general descriptor. Have you ever been told by a clinician, teacher, partner, anyone that oh, sorry, wife distracting me with text. Anyway, when was the last time you were told by a teacher, a clinician, parent, partner, anyone, or have you been, rather, that you couldn't have ADHD because you were too organized, too functional, too calm on a stressful phone call, too quiet, too good at school? You were not what ADHD looks like. Too smart. And this does apply to everybody, right? I'm not just pointing at the ladies and thereabout. I mean everybody. Because I know what I initially got. Oh, hi. Hi, Nadia. You figured you were just going to show up for a couple of minutes without a direct call out. Cool. You must have forgot. Lordy, lordy. What did I get? I got too smart initially, but I was too hyperactive, so they gave it to me anyway. Because the picture that exists in most people's heads, the hyperactive kids who can't sit still, disrupt the class, that was me, who's obviously struggling but gets flagged in grade 2, which I was built from the research primarily conducted on people like me. When your symptoms are not disruptive to the environment, you don't get diagnosed. Exactly. Exactly. So, and then the picture that got used to like assess, identify, and diagnose everybody was that. Told you I could tell you. You could tell me from you, yeah. Well, I mean, also, yeah, kind of general, yeah, you could. Never mind. I wrote a thing about this topic. Did you indeed? Excellent. Anyway, so this was the stuff that they used to diagnose everybody, including people whose ADHD didn't look anything like it. And for decades, those people got told, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're a perfectionist, you're overwhelmed, you're not trying hard enough, you're too sensitive, you definitely do not have it. We're diagnosing by a picture. Yes. Yeah, the picture is me. So today we're going to talk about what that cost, especially for the ladies. And yes, I'm going to blanket women, ladies, girls, AFABs, all under the term ladies today. Deal with it. Pretty sure I don't have you. No, you just are. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what that cost. We're going to talk about the research that's finally starting to paint a more accurate picture. Thankfully, it has been in the past few years, which is great. People have ADHD and autism. I didn't get my autism until I was an adult. Neither did I. But we're not talking about that today. We shall at another time, for certain. And on that note, now that I got called out, I'm going to go to work. Okay, bye. Anyway. So, we're going to start with the ADHD diagnostic picture. Where did it come from? Again, guys like me. Because I think it's important to understand this isn't an accident. It's not an oversight. It is a structural problem that's been baked into the research for better than 50 years. See, the early research heavily focused on hyperactive, impulsive presentations. Obviously, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? The kids who were climbing the walls, disrupting the classrooms, as Indy pointed out, unable to stay in their seats. Kids like me. Those kids were overwhelmingly little boys. So the samples in the early studies were predominantly male. So the diagnostic criteria that emerged from those studies was built around what those kids looked like. I'm at work and I'm still here for the call-up. Pretty sure my picture was in the pamphlet. It very well may have been. The inattentive presentation, so the kids who did sit quietly and seemed to be daydreaming and whatnot, they didn't cause trouble. Again, like Indy pointed out, they didn't get referred. That presentation was not well represented back in the early research. So as it turned out, unsurprisingly, it's disproportionately the presentation that shows up in many girls. So you end up with a diagnostic framework that is optimized to catch one presentation in one demographic, and then you use it on everybody. Doesn't quite work. Squeaky wheel gets a grease, yes. I didn't look like those kids. I definitely was slapped with the you just need to focus. You were too much of the daydreamer, were you? Excuse me. So the clinical consequences are exactly what you would expect them to be. The girls get diagnosed much later. So either in their late teens or even further into adulthood. The women get diagnosed later. The average age of a diagnosis in women is years behind the average in men. And in that gap, what do they get? Anxiety diagnoses, depression diagnoses, eating disorder diagnoses, BPD diagnoses, all of which, yeah, they may be real and they may be present, but often as a consequence of unmanaged ADHD rather than being the primary problem. So for a lot of the ladies in this community, the diagnosis history isn't they missed the ADHD, it's they found all of the things that ADHD was causing and treated those instead for years while the ADHD kept running underneath. This is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago when I said that a lot of the diagnosticians were lazy, essentially. They found the first thing that they could, such as anxiety, slapped you with that, and let it be. They didn't dig any further than that. When did catching more and diagnosing happen? Kind of off topic, kind of on topic. When did catching more and diagnosing happen, male or female? When did? I'm sorry, can you rephrase that, Jay? The sentence structure does not compute in my head. You're saying when, and I'm reading who. Phone work. Also, at the other side of the coin, you're too focused on that topic. Uh-huh. Yeah, your hyper-focus locks in on something and... Mass diagnosis. When people became more aware of it. Okay. When did catching more and when did it happen? when people became more aware of it. When catching male predominantly. When did the more accurate diagnoses do people start? One could argue that it is only starting recently. One could argue it started in 2013 as they narrowed it down to the most recent version of the diagnostic criteria. More so what decade? I would say within the last... probably in the 10s. Like back in the teens, I would guess. Though they are getting... Did you realize we're in the latter half of the 20s? Oh my god. Latter teens, early 20s? I think that's what he means too. Yeah, I would say more recently. And again, that's because the research and the refining of the diagnostic criteria, how things are, science is ever changing, ever evolving, right? Because we're getting better at it. We're learning more and more about it. So it's happening more recently, I would say. But again, that's just one opinion. Don't remind me. Just regular, remember the everybody has ADHD, giving them all Ritalin period. Don't remember when that was. That, sir, was in the 80s and the 90s that I can recall. Or at the very least, I was one of them. I was one of the Ritalin kids. And parents are more accepting of it, yes. Yeah, so I would say late 80s and early 90s is when that would have been. Shut up! Early to mid 90s. Yeah, it's somewhere in that area. Somewhere in that ballpark. Between like 85 and 90. 94, I think, when the DSM-4 came in. Was it 94 it came out? I think so. Okay. So, on to the question. Yeah, somewhere around there. We'll ballpark it in that general area. Trying to get my bearings. No worries, now that I understand what you were asking. Because I can't fucking read. Not only can't read, I can't think, apparently. So, hey, that's the thing. Couldn't take Ritalin, lost too much weight. Did you find that for any of the stimulants? That's a way off-topic question. Sort of. Because I don't. I wish. I bloody wish. By the way, check out our beloved Demon Daddy. Right over here. J13. Who is, doing more gaming stuff. Demon Daddy. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That looked interesting when I was watching you last night. Ah, payback's a bitch there, little meatball. Alright. So, again, to the ladies. If you were diagnosed late, or maybe not even yet, not at all, what were you told that you had instead? What was the diagnosis that came before ADHD or in place of it? A lot of fun. It looks like fun. Taking certain now because my but schedule my eating to make sure you don't lose weight. Okay, gotcha. Maybe, oh yeah, because you're a computer. That's fair. That's totally fair. That sucks. When did that happen, Dan? Today? Or last night? But the jokes are great. It still looked entertaining. I never really got into Borderlands, but it's not to say that I didn't. It's not that I wasn't interested in it. It's just that I just never got into it. That's all. My son and I played it. See, a lot of these guys, like Dan and Jay and whatnot, they play like a lot of the shooter type games. And I never thought I was very good at the FPS types games. So I never really got into them. Because the The ones I did try to get into, I wasn't really good at, but then there was some of like the single player ones that I seem to be decent at, I guess. I don't know, I just never got it. 70s because hyperactive presentation, finding the right meds, reduced my anxiety symptoms. Fair enough. So they didn't skip you on the, they didn't give you something else instead of it. How about Mama? Looter shooter, all I play. That's fair. I guess I don't necessarily mind looter shooters. I just, yeah, I don't like the battle royale games. Yeah, or the MOBAs. I don't like those because people are too fucking toxic. Because I hate people. I think that's why it is. I like playing with people. I don't like playing against people. Because playing against people means that somebody over there is some camping little prick or somebody who's got a giant ego because that's all they do is fucking from the time they wake up until the time they inevitably pass out at their keyboard is play that guy. No. Yeah, co-op all day. I'm good with that. I'm not good with having to go up against some little fucking prick who's gonna sit there and call you every racist name in the book. Got an anxiety diagnosis and meds. Okay. So that tracks. Okay. So, the... oh, yeah, I totally forgot to... Sorry, let me just give the link here. For those who do want it, this is going to be the primary article that I'm pulling from today. There are a couple, but this is going to be the main one. So we'll just... Oh, hey. God fucking damn it. Pin. Thank you. Am I a robot or a human? I am a meat popsicle. Anyway, okay. So this is the primary article that I'm going to be pulling this stuff from. So I'm going to try not to make this sound like a lecture. But if you do want to know the info, it's this long ass one there. Helldivers 2, Far Far West, a lot of fun. I'll play all games is what I mean. I know. Dan will play anything. Before I get into that, so I decided last week that I'm going to focus more on the coaching streams than anything. And I think the main reason for that is because I'm not playing games with anybody. So it makes it, I don't want to say difficult for me, but it presents me a different challenge, shall we say. So that's why I'm just like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to stick to this. Because people don't give a shit about the other stuff. So there's that. Alright. I'm a game whore. Yes, you are. So is Shoost. 20 gigs is 20 gigs. Yes, it is indeed. Alright. So, the study here that I just pinned up, it looked at a component of the EEG signal in males and females with ADHD across development. So that's a measure of the brain's excitation and inhibition balance between the two. Okay. So basically, it's a neurophysiological marker that reflects how the brain's arousal and regulatory systems are working. Be nice. I work in school, so I can't listen. Yeah, we know. You can't listen when you're paying attention. What are you talking about? And when you do listen, you can't hear. It's difficult to play with others when everybody is trying to survive. Yeah. True that. Anyway, so the findings in that research, in layman's terms, different profiles in males and females with ADHD across development, not just different behaviors, different brain signatures, so potentially different underlying mechanisms within the brain. Yeah, Nadia won't listen. Or not working dependent in the brain. So a related study, and if you guys want that one, just ask me, I'll send it to you. So a related 2023 study from the same people, or the same lab rather, found a marginally significant evidence that the relationship between neural dynamics and response control, so the brain's ability to regulate and inhibit responses, was stronger in the boys. I come back to brain arousal. Yeah. Welcome back to it. But they found that this was stronger in boys than in girls. Thanks, Jay. You made me lose my spot. But that was suggesting a distinct. See, I stopped learning how to read right there. Totally forgot how to do it. Don't forget, it's Make Happy Day today. Hey! Thank you. Glad I could help. I'll have to text the wife and tell her to grab some on the way home. Anyway, where was I here? Oh, so the brain's ability to regulate and inhibit the responses was stronger in males and females, suggesting a distinct etiology for response controls in the female presentation. Jesus Christ. Yes, Mick Happy Day. So all of that shit that I just babbled out there, what does it mean? It means the ADHD brain in a girl may be doing a different thing than the ADHD brain in a boy at the level of basic neurophysiology. Physiology. Look at that. I can't read and I can make up words all in one day. Perfect. Good God. Same label, different mechanisms, potentially needing different interventions. Just got on with it. Nice. Big science words. Physiology. Neurophysiology. It's like it's combining neurology and physiology because it's brain physiology. Anyway, the research, regardless, is still early, of course, which kind of harkens back to what Jay was talking about, or Jay kicked off the topic of. This research here is still early, but it is fantastic research. And these are important findings in a developing field, not definitive answers, as always. But the direction is consistent across multiple research groups, treating female ADHD as just a quieter version of male ADHD misses something very real about how it works. Impossible for a girl to have boy type. Well, that's the thing, right? Yes, it absolutely is. And that's... It's not a monolith, right? You met one person with ADHD, you met one person with ADHD. Everybody presents differently, and their presentation can change over the course of time, over the course of a day, over the course of an hour, right? Depending on environmental circumstances, hormonal, blah, blah, blah. This is shit you all know, right? So, yes, it is absolutely possible. How many girls with ADHD do you know that are hyperactive as fuck? Absolutely crawling the walls, hyperactive. It happens. It absolutely happens, right? How many of guys with ADHD are not crawling the walls, however, present inattentive? For the longest time, I went from, when I was young, being super hyperactive to a combined to in my probably, I would guess, early 30s, transitioning to more of an inattentive, but yet when you look at the actual markers for it or the actual criteria for it, it's still a combined, right? Or in my case, it was. But yeah, it absolutely can happen. It totally does, right? So the boy type and girl type ADHD thing it's a myth, right? Because again, as we're pointing out here, because the majority of the research was all done on little boys like me, right? So they're taking this label that they mocked up from kids like me and applied it to everybody. And that's why we're saying it's inaccurate. So anyway, that's what the plain language says. Research still being early on. The reason your ADHD doesn't look like what it is in the textbook is because, well, it's not because you don't have ADHD. It's because the textbook was written on guys like me. That's why. So, cry for me, Clanker. What the fuck is wrong with you? All right. The other piece that is relevant here to remember is that there was a paper we covered a couple of weeks ago that tracked 11,000 people from childhood to age 46. I think we covered this last week or the week before, and found that the ADHD traits predicted poorer physical health outcomes at midlife. Did we cover that here, or did I do an article on it? I don't remember. It was one or the other. But the association between ADHD and the physical health-related disabilities was stronger in women than it was in men. So we don't have a definitive explanation for why, but it's consistent with what we expect from a population that is diagnosed later in life, supported less, and required to mask more to compensate for longer. Even your history, you're always anti-tech. I know, I was today. So before we go on to the next segment, which will happen after the self-care break, question for you. Did the presentation piece land for anybody? My ADHD look different than what people expected experience. Does your ADHD actually look like that as opposed to what people assumed that it was going to look like? Do you find that for yourself? ADHD women's bodies are more fucked up than men? No. What it's found is that, all right, let me go back and go over this again. And I think it was, Jay, I think it was last week that I did these articles. The association between ADHD traits and physical health-related disability is stronger in women than it is in men. It's consistent with what we'd expect from a population that was diagnosed later, supported less, and required to mask and compensate more for longer. Check out the articles that I wrote last week. I did 3 articles, and they were all covering the same group. So it was a group that they covered, like, what was it, 11,000 people? Yeah, 11,000 people from childhood to age 46. So it was like a long-running study. Like, over 30 years. Almost 40 years long. I'm anti-grass, too? What the fuck? Too late? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what my fucking excuse is. Like, because MS only has like a 1 or 2% hereditary rate. So, I don't know what the fuck happened. Oh, Alberta, that's what happened. Right, because I live in one of the top 3, depending on what fucking research you look at, one of the top 3 places in the world where you get MS. I say that because Shust and we both looked up And we pulled from 2 different locations, and they said just about the exact opposite. It was fucked up. I'm not going down this again. Exactly. Yeah, we both looked up resources for it, and it told us, like, polar opposites just about. It's fucked. Image picture, I'm pretty sure is something nice for me. ADHD didn't exist back then, that's right. Doesn't look like what people think it looks like. Gives the child undiagnosed autism. Vote. You and I both. That's another problem. Alberta equals MS, yeah. Yeah. MS, many separatists. That's what MS stands for out here. Much separation. So stupid. So stupid. Alright, so just heads up. The next section I've, that's what separatists want you to think anyways. Joke's on them. Rebel scum. Next section I have written here is about masking, followed by misdiagnosis. So we'll cover that after the self-care break. You separatist scum. The ironic part of me saying that is that these separatists actually seem more like the Empire than like the rebels. Mom's calling, gotta go. Uh-huh. Voters info online for separatists. Right? Did you hear, Shoost, that of all fucking people, Jason Kenney might be the coming up on his redemption arc? As much as I hate to even have those words come out of my mouth, is that he's calling for a fucking lawsuit against them. Hey! Asshole dogs, as he should. Yes, and I also heard words about class action. Okay, it's Alberta politics. Dogs, go outside.
Janko, come on.
Outside. Jason Kenney used to be the premier here in Alberta. There was a group that, in the same party that he formed, had him kicked out of the party and replaced with who is leading the party now. Okay? He does not agree with this separatist bullshit. The people who installed the current leader are a bunch of separatists, essentially. And now he's coming back saying, like, because there was a bunch of voter information that was leaked by one of the separatist parties, it's illegal for them to have that. So he is calling for a lawsuit, and there's a bunch of people that are saying, let's make it a class action lawsuit because you cannot have my fucking voter information. Because there's a theory, I'm not going to be tinfoil hat here or whatnot, but there's a theory that because these separatist people just came up with all of the numbers that they need, yeah, it's like a governor's state, they finally got all the numbers that they need to get their separatist vote on a referendum. There's a theory that they got it by putting names and signatures fraudulently from this voter list onto there as signatures. Now, if my name shows up on there, one, it's going to be a conflict because I signed the other one. And two, I will sue you motherfuckers back to the Middle Ages. So, yeah. Apparently he's age into federalism and down with Carney. Incredible, sir. I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot about Kenny lately. He's been quiet, generally quiet, since his ousting. Though he does show up on TV during the news panels, but anyway. But yeah, so if there's any kind of a lawsuit, will I join on to sue David Parker back to the fucking Middle Ages? Yeah, you bet I will. It was acquired properly and then given to the separatists through an online website. Yes, it was acquired properly. You know which party acquired it? The Republican Party of Alberta. Was it through an online website, or was it handed to them? I don't recall. I need to. I might be out of the loop on that one. Oh. Yeah, I kind of am not fully up to all of the details on that one. Anyone could access it. Holy fuck. Ridiculous is what it is. Was there malice here? Maybe. Possibly. Maybe not. Just stupid people. That's why it's such a big deal, because, yeah, it could put undercover. Yeah. Yeah, and, well, not only that, not only undercover cops, not only people under witness protection, but, like, people, the victims of domestic abuse and stuff like that. Their exes could get their info. Anyway, I'm babbling. It's time for a self-care break. Let's do this. We shall come back and talk about the masking and all of that other... I count that. Yeah, witness protection. Yeah, okay. Touche, that's fair. Anyway. Self-care break. Grab yourself some water or a snack. Go to the bathroom. Do what you need to do. We'll be right back.
goes, they dance, they chase. No escape, no saving grace. Coins spill out the broken
Okie dokie. Hi. Sorry, I had to get myself a new coffee and change out the garbage and apparently yell at the fucking dog again. Anyway. Alright, so here we are. Did you text a wife? Oh. I know she was replying to me actually. As because I couldn't find the garbage bags. I guess if you want to know. We had a, because I changed out the garbage, but I couldn't find the garbage bags to replace the one. But I knew we had a box full of garbage bags, but they were sitting by the sink, and now they weren't there. And I'm like, where did you put the garbage bags? Because I changed it out, but I couldn't replace it. And then she replied, she told me they were by the sink. They were still there, but they were not in the box. She took them out of the box. Turns out she fucking lied. Because I just found them. They were hiding on the hanging out part of the counter. They were hiding behind a couple 2-4s of Coke, or of Coke Zero, and Sprite. They were hiding behind that. Oh, and Fanta. I'm sorry, whatever. They were hiding behind a couple cases of pop anyway. So I happened to see them because I was on the other side of the counter stirring my coffee, and I'm like, oh, there it is. What the fuck? So did I text her? No, because if I do, I'm going to say, you're a liar. Anyway. Let's see if you remember to text her about, oh, McHappy Day. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, but thank you. Justin would like me to remind you that it is McHappy Day. Can we get McDonald's today from the fucking back, from the side here? Here we go. How dare you forget the Fanta? I know. It is criminal.
Yes, how dare you?
You? That's enough out of you, Peanut Gallery.
Peanut Gallery?
That's enough out of you, Peanut Gallery. Anyway. Alright. You're gonna have yucky guts. Just for you. Gross. JP gives you permission to keep going, even though I said no. I was talking to her, not you, Sabine. Fucking mouthpiece. Anyway, family dinner at Mickey Dick's for a good cause. It is for a good cause. It's not for a good bathroom run. I mean, why not both? Oh, well, you know very well why not both. Anyway, all right. Back on topic. Let's get on this. Off topic is the topic. Good luck with that. Masking. All right. The specific cost. Let's spend time on the real. Or rather, let's spend some real time, is what I was trying to say, on masking, because I think it's a piece that explains a lot. So obviously, we know what masking is. The process of consciously or unconsciously suppressing, camouflaging, compensating for ADHD symptoms in order to appear neurotypical. It's documented in both autism and ADHD, and it's documented to be more prevalent in women and girls. Lord Byron and Edgar Allan give Sabine permission to continue. Sabine might get a foot in the ass. I don't know whose. Jay says, there we go. Alright. So, here is why it happens at higher rates in this population. the social expectation placed on girls to be organized, cooperative, controlled, and non-disruptive. It means that the consequences of externally visible ADHD symptoms are higher for them. Yeah, it won't be mine. So, the hyperactive boy disrupts the class. The hyperactive girl gets told to sit still and stop fidgeting, and she learns to. The inattentive boy daydreams. The inattentive girl learns to look like she's paying attention even when she's not. Hi, Heather. So, over time, the mask becomes more elaborate. These women become extraordinarily good at performing competence. I kept getting sending. Yeah, me too. Pay attention even though I'm not. Shut up!
Sabine,
Good God.
come here.
Lock them upstairs.
Sabine, come here. Right now.
Now we're just going to pause for a moment while Jason takes control of the situation.
Come. Upstairs. Up.
Do I need to dad voice this or you got it?
I got it.
Okay.
Outside.
I love your dogs. Yeah, so much personality, shall we say. Even though Django has the personality of a fucking potato, Dosey has the personality of a pillow, and Sabine compensates for both by being an unholy fucking terror. Anyway. Is pet you at their paws? Vegas does that to me too. When she's sitting on the floor and trying to get my attention, she'll reach up and... Yes, I know you're there. Alright, so over time, as I was saying, Dosey does that too, yeah. Yeah, pets you with the paw. Yeah. If you give her a pet and stop petting her, she will reach out and pull your hand towards her. Being a much older generation, difference between my experience and traditional experience. Well, and it's situational too. Right? Not only a generational thing, it's also situational. Because I can well imagine that there are people my age that weren't necessarily going to have the same, like, similar age, similar area, but not with a similar upbringing, that they would have a different experience than I would. Right? So, as I was saying, over time the mask becomes more elaborate. The women become extraordinarily good at performing competence. They develop systems, rituals, and compensations. So they stay up until 2 a.m. to redo the work that they couldn't focus on during the day. Maybe with a little bit of that procrastination bedtime. Anyway, revenge, procrastination, bedtime. We covered it last time. So they tend to over-prepare, or not tend to, in this example, over-prepare for everything because they know that executive function is that theirs is unreliable. So they become so good at hiding it that even the people closest to them have no idea how hard everything is for them. Always procrastination bedtime, yep. So, and then a clinician sees them and then says, you're too organized to have ADHD. Sound familiar? Yes, it is. I don't take my meds on the weekends. Do not have to mask. When you're masking, you don't get the support you need. Yep. I don't know what that's like. Which part? But anyway. Yeah, you're too organized to have it. The organization is the ADHD. The organization is the 20 years of compensation the nervous system built for them to survive in a world that expected performance that it couldn't reliably generate. So, being good at hiding ADHD is not the same as having it. It's what's having ADHD looks like after decades of practice, essentially. There's I wrote that down as a descriptor that you could give to somebody if they asked you what masking was, or an example for masking. Being good at hiding it is not the same as having it. It's what's having it looks like after decades of practice. That's what I meant. This is what happens when I write my notes in a way that I can't fucking understand them. Don't you hate that when you write a note for yourself or something for later, and then you look at it and you tell yourself at the time, give me a sec, Jay. At the time, you're like, okay, I'll know what this means. Like every time. Every fucking time. Even if it's something super simple, I'll remember what this means. And then later on, you look at it and you're like, what the hell was I even thinking? Okay, so what I'm saying, Jay, being good at hiding the fact that you have ADHD is not the same as having ADHD. It's what having it looks like after decades of practice. Okay, so after 10, 20 years of practicing not having it, that's what masking is being good at it. It's being good at having it and faking it, essentially. Put the fish in the mailbox? Yes, exactly. Notes like that. What fish? What mailbox? What address? What was I where was I? Yeah. Good, because I'm struggling to elaborate further on what I was trying to say at the time. Essentially, masking, being good at hiding it. It doesn't define it. It's what it looks like after you have it for so long that you're pretending not to have it anymore. That's essentially what one definition of masking. Anyway, so it's like you're being good at having it. Being good at having it. I mean, what other option do I have, to be honest with you? So the cost of masking is very well documented. These are things that we have discussed numerous times over the last half decade. There's a term that I should probably never use again. That was a moment of realization. Anyway, it produces burnout. We know this. A lot of us live this. It produces chronic exhaustion, not tiredness, the specific neurological fatigue that comes from running an elaborate compensation system at high intensity for extended periods, which is exactly what you're doing. You're getting this neurological fatigue because you're running this masking, you're running this elaborate faking at such high intensity for so long, all you're doing is burning yourself out. This almost sounds like a conversation I had on Sunday night. Anyway, not to point fingers or call anybody out directly. It produces anxiety because the entire time you're performing this competence, you know what's underneath. It produces depression when the mask starts slipping and the gap, and the gap between the performance and the reality start to become visible. The performance rituals and techniques you could form to, so yes, exactly. My anti-time blindness. In fairness, anybody can have time blindness. In fairness. Remember, this shit is intensity, frequency, and duration. Pops want to tell you to a share. I approve. Oh boy. Jay, are you paying attention? Yes?
I have so many fucking questions.
Well, I'm here to answer you. I like how this is going. You're not my real dad. Oh, too funny. All right. Oh. Wife says we're broke. I guess McHappy Day is not going to be very McHappy because we have no money. Where was I? I was too busy laughing at myself. Okay. So, when your mask starts slipping, things start to become more visible because of the burnout. Yada yada. It produces the specific experience, which, by the way, I do hear about constantly in this community, of officially getting diagnosed and feeling simultaneously validated and devastated. That you know of that. Because time travel. Devastated because you now know exactly what it cost you, or at least you are learning, slowly but surely, and how unnecessary that cost was, and how long it went on. So, everyone be safe. All right, and you too, Indy. So, you guys know that I, after recently getting my autism diagnosis, even now, still actually, after talking to my therapist last week or the week before, the still going through and looking back over my life through that lens and realizing where I was masking, how hard I was masking, the fact that I was masking from myself, right? That the amount of personal cost there, the amount of, shit that there's nothing we can do about it after the fact, what if this, what if I had done this, what if, all that stuff. I said to my wife the other couple days ago that one thing that if I could go back would be when I went to college. I would, instead of taking the graphic design, because, now that's all fucking replaced pretty much by AI, I would probably have been smarter to go into astrophysics. Because that's something that, again, another of my true passions. I love space. I love astrophysics. I love astronomy. I love all that stuff. Right? So in hindsight, I think that's something that I would have locked onto and been more useful for or not useful, but been more productive, quote unquote, for my life. Matter of perspective on how you look at that, but trend, does she have tendency and frequency and duration? Okay, let's try that again. She does have tendency? Frequency and duration? Intensity. I know what you meant. More starts to appear. Then she quit nicotine vapes and now smoking non-nicotine vapes. Flavored toothpicks. Interesting. Sume. Yeah, the quick and dirties. Yep. Nicotine and caffeine. Yeah, they're the quick and dirties. So if she's not on meds, then the nicotine can certainly be something that helps. There we go. All right. So, masking. Does anybody want to, if you're feeling brave enough, describe what yours looks like or did look like, kind of thing? Not the trauma dump, just to name it. What does your compensation system actually do? What are the specific things that you tend to appear more? Let's try that again. What are the specific things you do to pretend to be more neurotypical? I'm at the point where I'm done looking at what ifs. There's nothing to do here. Can't do anything about it. I'm working on what I can. Which, congrats for you. I have a brain that tends to ruminate. Pretty sure you all know mine. Yeah, it's true. Don't go outside. Don't go outside. That's a good one. Yeah, I tend to, if I don't do it subconsciously, I try not to do it at all. But there are times when subconsciously, you put on pants. Putting pants on is a good starter. I agree. Well, that's a starter for sure. All right then. Just say no to pants. I did today. I'm wearing shorts. Why? Because it's like 20-something degrees out today. All right, so let's take a look at some of the misdiagnoses that happen. Especially in women. Yeah, mine. That's a different conversation. All right. So we're going to name some specific conditions that tend to show up for primarily in women in place of ADHD, not because they're not real. They usually are, but because they're often driven by something underneath that isn't being addressed. So like we said a couple of weeks ago, where the doctors or diagnosticians or whomever go, yep, it's depression, and leave it at that, right? So this can apply to everybody. Or it's anxiety, leave it at that. Or it's BPD, and leave it at that, right? Don't look any deeper. Quantum Eris, hello. I just saw your little name pop up there in the chat. Thank you much for subbing for a month. Mwah. Appreciate ya. Dude, it's not that deep. I hate wearing pants in my home. Dan, there's so many dirty jokes that come with that, and I'm not touching any of them. Even if I'm golden tide, you're crazy. Can't get rid of me? Wasn't trying to. All right, so first one that we'll talk about is anxiety. Hey, there it is. Apparently, I was ahead of the curve on that one. So Bumper Sticker said, I don't have anxiety, I have extra emotions. Yes. That tracks. And there's really a little possible when possible. Agreed. All right, so anxiety. ADHD produces anxiety. And when you can't reliably, is the word I'm trying to say, predict your own executive function, and when you know your attention is going to fail you, and you don't know when you've experienced the consequences of that failure enough times, anxiety is a rational response. Treating the anxiety without the ADHD often produces partial results. The anxiety improves, but it doesn't resolve. Because the thing that's generating your anxiety, having fucking ADHD, is still running. So there's that. Depression. This one is actually in the document, the pinned article, and it documents that persistently high distress trajectories from ages 26 to 46 in people with childhood ADHD traits is depression. Chronic underperformance relative to capacity, societal exclusion, being skipped over. You know, when they're playing Duck, Duck, Goose, they keep skipping you. Economic difficulty, relationship strain. These are depression-generating conditions. They suck. So, of course, they're depression-generating. Treating the depression without recognizing that it's a downstream of decades of unmanaged ADHD misses the source completely. So, again, another case of, oh, you've got depression, here's the label, we'll leave it at that without going any further. BPD, this one kind of hits me a little bit personally because one of my kids was diagnosed with that instead. Got that first. Emotional dysregulation is a core feature of ADHD. Intense emotional reactivity, mood instability, sensitivity to rejection, they're all ADHD features that look like BPD. Now remember that BPD and bipolar 1 anyway, are a 90% Venn diagram with ADHD. So, they look like it on a clinical checklist. They look almost exactly the same. Diagnostic rates of BPD in women who later receive an ADHD diagnosis are disproportionate. They're absolutely astronomical. So this matters because BPD carries significant stigma and has different treatment implications. That was a challenge for me trying to understand it by depression as an offshoot of the ADHD. Which, 9 of 10? Why not both? Having one and then having one that feeds into the other. Right? Because, yeah, you can have them separately. Absolutely. But establishing if one is causing the other is kind of a more important first step. Instead of just slapping you with a label and saying, okay, well, you're just, you have depression, and leaving it at that. Trigger warning, eating disorders. Impulsivity, reward dysregulation, emotional eating, difficulty with interoceptive signals that would otherwise regulate appetite. These are ADHD features. These are things that many of us struggle with, right? Eating disorders are more prevalent in ADHD populations. Treating the eating disorder without treating ADHD leaves the neurobiological drivers, essentially, in place. You're not touching them. You're just treating, again, with a Band-Aid. If I get that, I'm going to yell at them. Not really, but I'm going to fight them on it. They could be. That's the thing, Jay. They very well could be. You know, obviously I'm not going to say yes because I'm not the doctor. But yeah, it's 100% they could be. Right? I found that as of late, I have been sliding into some bad habits that way because of my interoception playing fucking havoc on me. Right? Not being able to fully grasp when I'm actually hungry. And then when I am, when it finally does click, I'm fucking near starving, right? And then I like way overeat or way undereat. Binge eat, selective eating. It's not my fault. My tummy doesn't like gluten, onion, garlic, some dairies. What? Have you tried not eating those things? Anyway. But yes, Jay, it's entirely possible. Something you want to write down to bring up with your doctor? Maybe? I don't know. But being treated for the symptoms of ADHD for years without being treated for the ADHD itself is not a healthcare success story, shall we say. It's a failure of the diagnostic framework that wasn't built to see you. Now, is that because mentally you don't want to, or because physically you don't feel like you have to? And then I read it. Yeah, well, that's a good step. Yes. Yes. Yes is a full sentence. It absolutely is. All right. Because I feel like I physically have to. Yeah, why not both, right? But sure, why not both? It very well could be. It could be that you don't Your brain is telling you not to, and your body is like, I don't have to. What do we got here? 13 minutes. Can we power through this next one? Yeah, I think so. I think. No, actually, let's save it. Yeah, we'll save it because the piece after that is a good discussion piece, I think. Get bloated pains, rumbling tummy, and then a bad time in the bathroom. Fair enough. Fair enough. Mine, okay, when it comes to me with eating and my interoception, is I will hear my stomach, or maybe I might kind of feel it, but it doesn't quite register as hungry, right? Because it feels like it might register as digestion. Because you know how it is when, say, like right after you eat something and then your stomach does that, and it's like, okay, well, it's just digesting or whatever it is. That's kind of the mindset that I get. Because I mean, it's not not like painful or anything. It's not like that those pangs of hunger, as it were. It's just kind of like it's doing its thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, it's making noise, it's carrying on, right? So it's not until it gets, in my case, when it gets bad enough that if I stand up and on top of the fact that I already have shit balance or whatnot, but if I'm like lightheaded, then I'm like, okay, must food now, right? It's either that, or if it falls into where regularly scheduled food time is, right? So dinner is going to be, after the wife gets home kind of thing. Fuck, I wish I had some money I could send her. My phone's not even going to cooperate with me. Oh, okay, but all of those are an hour to 30 minutes of eating something with onions or garlic and or gluten. Huh. Interesting. Anybody else, when it comes to interoception and hunger, how does that play when it comes to you? Just curious. Jay, I don't know if you're a good example here or not. I mean, you might be. You'd be an educational piece for sure. That's right. Take a look at our little piece over here. Doesn't eat till I'm starving. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it's exactly that. I mean, it's close. It feels like it's close. Tell me you're like quiet. Oh, I don't know. I'm hungry. Lucky you. Like, mine tends to make noise, but I don't necessarily know if I can add that to like an MS thing as well. I'm still learning about that. I'm still studying that shit. So like, I don't completely know if that's a thing that's an MS factor or not. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Or at least that's where I feel like I'm at with it sometimes. Mine is kind of, am I hungry ever? I usually don't mind until the room is spinning. Possible, however, I think is hunger. Yeah, so in the same way that I don't think I'm hungry, and then I stand up and I'm lightheaded, and it's like, oh shit, you need to eat something. So yeah, maybe. By the way, hi, how you doing? Happy hump day, what's shaking? I guess so they're noisy. Yeah, and I mean, mine kind of do as well. I don't much. I haven't done much research on it. Spine does have something to do with the spine. That I don't know about that, so I can't say anything to that. I mean, I don't know, Shoost, have you done anything on, any research on that? That says something about the spine having a heavier impact on the digestive tract and system? Shoost might know better than I. But again, I'm not certain. And while we've got just under 10 minutes until the self-care break, and like I said, I'm going to put off the next couple until afterwards. I'm checking the family doggo. Has that large dog 15. I'm getting set up for a model painting. I've passed that large dog 15. Are you saying that? I'm sorry. I must be having a real fucking cognitive clicking day today because I'm not processing that. The dog. Okay, so the family doggo that I set has passed at large dog 15. I'm not processing that. And I'm not necessarily blaming you. He was okay, but okay, so the dog passed is what you're saying? Process problem, but I can't process it either. Well, it's alright. I mean, that happens sometimes, right? Especially with me. My fucking fingers are getting worse and worse when it comes to typing. Sorry, I've got this hair that I can't seem to like get off of my nose and it's driving me nuts. So sorry, I look like a bit of a cokehead here. But it's tickling my nose and it's driving me nuts. This is what happens when you allow Bitch Puddin' to come and hang out for a while. He was a large dog. Okay, he passed yesterday. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. That is one of the worst things in the world. When, yeah. I'm not going to get heavily into that. But I'm sorry, that sucks. I do not approve. So yeah. There we are. My nose is the same thing. Hair I can't get on my nose. Yeah, and Vegas has got this kind of hair where it's like super light and like the color of it she's kind of this light gray color or this grayish, yeah, if you've seen her, you know. So it's not always easy to see them kind of thing, but like you think you wipe them off your nose or you know it's on your face or whatever, when it gets fucking stuck on my beard, that drives me nuts. And then you can't get it's making me itchy just thinking about it. I love my Bitch Puddin' kitty, but she can be such a fucking nuisance that way. Little tiny hairs that just, they never, it's not like let me see. Effie has got, his hair is a little more coarse than Vegas. Vegas is more like fluffy. It drives me nuts. Talking about cat hair. Yeah, I'm like, cause I feel like I've got this hair that I can't get rid of. Or the one that like, if you could see it out of the corner of your eye, if it's an eyelash or something. And it's like every time you blink it moves and you're like, you think you get rid of it. And then you see it again and you sit there trying to get rid of it for 10 minutes. And it makes you insane! Oh, no wonder Shoes ain't answering. I don't see him anymore. Yeah, well. Caramel colored fur, yeah. Eyelash out of the corner of your eye, yeah. Oh yeah, that one's fucking brutal. I hate that one. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Alrighty. What if I even noticed? Yeah, maybe on your cheek or something where you don't have the beard growing. Makes you want to cut them off. Good luck with that. That would suck. I don't know if people... let me rephrase that. I've never seen anybody who's done that, and I don't know how I would feel about it if I ever did see it. It's bad enough when you see, like, if you've ever seen the Shoes Without Eyebrows picture. That's a thing. That is absolutely a thing. Anyway. Alright. That's where the pool comes from. I'm not even touching it. Self-care break time. Grab yourself some water, a snack, or the bathroom, or do what you need to do.
After these messages,
Oh boy.
we'll be right back.
Going to Momento.
On the floor, put it all down. On the floor, put it all down. Feel it down, feel it down. Put it all down on the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. On the floor, put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. Feel it down, feel it down. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. On the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. Feel it down, feel it down. Put it all down. Feel it down. Put it all down. Feel it down, feel it down. Put it all down on the floor, on the floor. Put it all down on the floor, on the floor. Put it all down, feel it now, feel it now. Put it all down on the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. Put it all down. Put it all down. On the feeling now. Put it all down on the floor, on the floor. Put it all down. it to the right. Keep it to the right. Push it to the left and we push it to the right. We keep pushing all night. Push it to the left and we push it to the right. We keep pushing all night. Push it to the left and we push it to the right. We keep pushing all night. Ooh, ooh.
Cool, good enough. Alrighty. That was weird. I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but did anybody notice the music just kind of like spiked and then came back down? Or was that just on my end? That was very, very strange. Anyway. If you did, let me know. If not, I'm going crazy. Alrighty. I think it spiked. Interesting. So strange. Wonder why I would have done that. Wonder if something in OBS changed on me again. Did not notice. Alright. That was crazy once. Heard the cutoff, but unsure why. Huh. Something in the transition from one scene to another. I don't know. I'll have to look at it later. But if Jay didn't notice, I heard nothing. If Jay didn't notice, I'm gonna go with it was on my end. And I say that because Jay has a little bit more of an audio-tuned ear that way. So, alright. Continuing on. Let us take a look at what a good assessment actually looks like. I'm exempt for that question. Yes. Yes, indeed you are. So, this is something that we have covered from time to time to time. But let's take a look at, in this case, in the case of women being... Is distracted. I mean, there's that. But I mean, if it would have happened, I trust in your ability to notice things musically like that. Kind of like I would. Even if you were like not paying attention, if you kind of noticed that that was weird in the audio, even one earbud, I probably would have caught it, so I'm assuming that you probably would too. Anyway, I'm gonna say that it's on my end and leave it at that. So yeah, we have hit this topic from time to time to time. More than once. More than just today, and that's what does a good assessment actually look like. So if anything that I've said today has landed and you're sitting there thinking, is this me? Is this my kid? Is this something that I need to actually pursue? Here's what I want you to know about what a good assessment for female presenting ADHD looks like. Excuse me. Now, I say that because today primarily has been about female presenting ADHD and how a lot of women and girls and whatnot and people of color, this does apply there as well, have been skipped over and whatnot because it was built, the diagnostic criteria is built on guys like me, little white boys, right? So I'm using that as a blanket all term. This could also apply to boys that were inattentive rather than hyperactive, right? So there's that. The developmental history does matter. So a clinician doing a thorough assessment should be asking about childhood. Okay, not just, were you hyperactive? That question misses the population entirely, especially if they were inattentive type presenting. Like you said, I was typing. That's all right. So, were you a daydreamer? Did you have to work much harder than your peers to stay organized? Did you seem fine in school, but then fall apart when you got home? Did you develop elaborate systems to manage things that seemed totally effortless for everybody else? Stuff like this. Did you develop elaborate systems to manage the things that that other people had no struggles with, or seemingly, right? So that developmental picture is as important as the current. That's bad terming. What am I trying to say here? That developmental picture by itself is equally as important as what diagnosticians and family doctors and whatnot are currently using. If they aren't asking those questions, I'll walk out. Others had no struggle with the things I did. Or seemingly. Yeah, I get it. So, internalizing symptoms are ADHD's. Yeah. Is that what I'm trying to say? Sorry, I'm trying to come up with this brilliant segue in my mind and it's not working out. Anxiety, overwhelm. Anxiety, overwhelm, emotional sensitivity, perfectionism, chronic exhaustion. In the context of an ADHD assessment, these are not separate concerns to be noted and moved past. Hiding your shit doesn't mean you don't have the shit. Yes. Right? So all of these things are potential ADHD features. And a good assessor will understand this. So they will look at the anxiety, the overwhelm, the emotional sensitivity, perfectionism, chronic exhaustion, right? They will use these things as pieces to this giant puzzle. Masking inflates scores. If you are masking, it inflates the score in the wrong direction. There we go. Why do I write shit like this? So the ADHD assessment often focuses on let me pause here for a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. Whoop! Show me the doll with the ADHD touched you. How's from here to here? Okay, so the umbrella indeed, it does. It really does. So, doing self-report ADHD assessment. Just silly lost one. It's all good. We all are. So, if you're doing the self-reports, the tests and stuff on places like Embrace Autism, etc. They can underestimate the severity in people who have been masking for decades. Okay, so if your score comes with if it comes back subclinical, but your functional history is a mess, that discrepancy is worth naming and pointing out to them. The mask is doing its job on the assessment too. So, and self-ADHD won't happen on it. No. Absolutely not. I'm talking about going through actual things that were put together for self-reporting. Not watching some jagoff on TikTok do a fucking dance and pointing at, these are 5 signs that you have. No, not that at all. Do the screening tests, all of them, and then MetaMask the result. Yes. But the thing is, what I'm saying, though, is, not a BuzzFeed quiz. The thing I'm saying is, if you are masking and you don't realize that you are masking, it can skew your scores in the wrong direction. Okay? And a good assessor will understand that. So, this is something that they have to be aware of. Okay? ADHD assessments often focus on symptom count. So they will count up the symptoms that you have and take this into consideration, right? What tells the bigger story is the functional history. So like your employment instability, relationship patterns, your financial history, things like this. The gap between apparent ability and actual output. So, jingle, jingle. I don't know why you said that, but it was funny in my head and threw me off. Anyway, so looking at things like the exhaustion of maintaining the systems that you put in place to counter these things, you know what I mean? So if the assessor isn't asking about these things, bring them up yourself. This is why I tell people to make notes, right? Write down all the things that are interfering with your daily life. Jingle, it's a Triker and a Chris. Pay attention with the keys joke. There you go. You are allowed to push back if you are being assessed and told that you don't have it, and the assessment didn't account for the quote-unquote female presentation. Masking your developmental history, right? You're allowed to get a second opinion. That's not being difficult. That is advocating for yourself and for an accurate assessment. Heather. A negative ADHD assessment that does not account for your specific presentation is not a verdict. It is an incomplete picture. Metamasking is what happens when you find out about masking and then use it to do the thing that needs to be done. Sooner or later, you got to risk unmasking to the other therapist. Yeah. Heidi ho, those of you that just showed up. What's up? And my wife just got home, so give me just 1 second. Okay, now she's leaving. She's home just early, but that's all right. Those of you that have been along for the ride today, how are we doing? Metamasking is masking your mask. Kind of. It's a term that I only just recently stumbled across, and that was how I initially took it. I'll let ZenCat go a little further on that one from their perspective. The next thing that I want to actually touch on is for the parents of specifically girls that have ADHD. I made it up to... Well, apparently you're not the first one to use it, because I've heard it. I have heard it before. But yeah, for those of you that have been along for the ride, so far today. How are we doing? Are we feeling call-outs? I'm intrigued by it. Onion masking. It's a very thin, see-through layer. What's wrong in this house? I mean, you should have showed up earlier. You would have caught the whole article. Depressed for years despite not responding. Well, and that was something we had touched on earlier, right? When you are treating the thing that the ADHD is causing, you're not treating the proper thing. Sure, you can treat the depression and it might help a little bit, but it's just gonna it's a never-ending loop. Fuck off with your stories. I came late, so until I go to the lodge, I'm safe for now. Fair enough. Fair enough. Totally fine. Sure, you're a super real person. Because if you get one diagnosed, understood, and unwrapped, hey, look, another fucking layer. Exactly. Exactly. Right? It's like diagnosing and treating an ogre. That's all right. I think I get what you're saying. But yeah, for things like the depression, the anxiety, etc., etc. I'm sorry I didn't. My streams are not a mandatory thing. Settle down. I'm just happy you did. Yeah, try to treat them with candy and cake. And creamsicle cookies. Now you're unsafe from my typing. Uh-oh. Ruh-roh. We're in fucking trouble now. That's right, all of the cookies. ADHD at 36. General anxiety at 37. ASD level 1 at nearly 39. Talk about onions. Right? Oh, you beat me to it. I was gonna do it. But yeah, it's layer upon layer upon layer. Then unbox your yeah. Then I unboxed your tism. I mean, you certainly helped. You were absolutely a factor in it. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. Don't be. Not at all. All right, let us get on to the last part here.
Draw me like one of your leather dinos.
Rar. Rar. That's the one. So for the parents, again, specifically of either ADHD girls or the boys with the inattentive presentation, okay? Because the misdiagnosis pipeline does not start in adulthood. It starts in childhood. Because, and I'm just gonna, again, I'm gonna blanket this with girls with ADHD, okay? So you know who that all covers. Women, girls, AFAB, people of color, boys with inattentive presentation. I'm blanketing this for now, okay? But know that it falls under this. The girl with ADHD who isn't identified in school, who isn't causing the problems, usually, is who I'm talking about. She's sitting quietly, possibly daydreaming, possibly working 3 times as hard as the person next to her just to keep up, possibly coming home and melting down because of the effort that it took to hold it all together for the day, that is finally letting it go because they just got home. Okay, they may be getting labeled as anxious, emotional, sensitive, a perfectionist, a people pleaser, many of these things, all of which may be totally accurate. All of which may be because their ADHD managing, I'm getting ahead of myself, all of which may be the ADHD managing to stay invisible while producing all of these other things. Okay? What to watch for that doesn't look like classic ADHD. And classic being the boys, the hyperactive.
You just need to activate your hyperfocus.
That's what you need to do. Alright, maybe not. So if your kid comes home and there's significant fatigue after school that seems disproportionate to what they have described having been done, saved by the customer, during the day, right? If they have this significant fatigue that doesn't seem to line up with what they tell you they have been doing during the day. Homework taking much longer than it should, with the quality that does not match the effort. So if the output, and this is something that we struggle with here, if their output, what they're doing for the homework, does not line up with how much effort they're putting into doing it, this is something to look for. High performance in areas of genuine interest. So art or music or whatever, or language, or if they're into history or they're in social studies and shit. So if they have high performance in these areas, significant difficulty in the areas that don't hold their attention. So if they're really big into math, but they're failing extraordinarily at English, language arts, whatever, this is something to look for, okay? Social difficulties that look like anxiety, but it might be executive function problems. Preparing for conversations, ruminating afterwards. Difficulty with the unstructured social time, like recess and whatnot, that requires spontaneous social navigation. If they're having problems with that, this is something to look for. Meltdowns at home after days that seem perfectly fine at school. And perfectionism that produces paralysis rather than high performance. So if they're trying to be a perfectionist on a piece of homework that they're working on, but they lock up rather than give good performance on the homework. Things like this. These are all things that to look for. Okay, so, and some of these I include because Jasa has taught me a lot of this specifically. Okay, so watching her navigate this world with that wasn't built for her brain, essentially, changed somewhat how I view what ADHD looks like in girls. Not just hearing about it from fellow creators on TikTok, right? It's, for me, it is seeing it firsthand. How close is ADHD to classic autism? That is an interesting question. What is your definition of classic autism? And do you mean ADHD, ASD? Dyslexia, dyscalculia is a red flag, especially for homework. Yes, it is. Right? Another thing to look for. And those are things that can be comorbid. They can 100% be comorbid with ADHD. Right? So, having a presentation that gets missed, that's not subtle. It's just not what people are looking for. They're looking for this hyperactivity, bouncing off the walls, can't stay in your chair, interrupting the teacher, etc., etc. These are the things that they are looking for. But if that is not being presented, then what are they looking for, right? Autism is a spectrum as much as it's ADHD. The overlap is high. The overlap is astoundingly high. Is very high. I would. Sorry, Bell, Eris. When did you make that change? I missed when that change was made. Not to say that I didn't recognize who you were, just the name change threw me off. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure if that was the question. That's why I'm asking what their definition of classic autism is. Because yes, the overlap is incredibly high. Other areas of self-studying, but I'm dealing with friends who are autistic with a paper. And just, since I am not personally having got my own name, I'm curious what the scientific idea is here. It feels related, but different. That is something that Oh my god, dogs. That is something that I could look up. Like, Sorry, wife just got home again, I think. No, maybe not. About 3 weeks ago, I kept stuck in my account. Gotcha! Okay, so about 3 weeks. That makes sense. Okay. I wonder if filters count as complexes for masking. I describe my learning mask as filters. Can you elaborate further on filters? That's interesting to me. But yes, that's me. Hello. I missed ya. A local woke up from a computer like, where are these dogs? Uh-huh. Where are these dogs? At the wrong end of Jace's wrath right now. One kid with combined type and dyslexia, the other with inattentive and ASD. So you describe both of them in your statement. And scoring to -5. Intriguing. Well, if your question was because you asked how close they were, similarity-wise, there is an incredible amount of overlap. The thing to look for at home. Instead of full hiding, I was taught to put everything metaphorical sieves and not to be ugly. Intriguing. It's always interesting to me to hear how everybody else deals with it and their own masking techniques, their own filters. I like. Tone it down, so to speak. Yeah. If that's what Moon is saying. No, it's always interesting to me to hear how exhausting is that for you? Because I get I'm rehashing in my head a conversation that was just had recently. Been in ADHD and ADHD for a long time. I have issues dismantling the filters to be authentic because everything always goes through the filters. Kinda. Okay. So by proxy, my time as zone morale structure. So if I don't meet the internal criteria, it doesn't get what I want to say. It doesn't get said. I understand that. It's funny because you saying that makes me think of a statement from Craig Ferguson that I've been trying harder and harder to adopt, which is, does it need to be said? These are 3 questions I try and ask myself as my filter. Does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? Does it need to be said right now by me? Those are the 3 things that I've been trying to ask myself and run through as my filter. Very exhausting. I've never felt actually seen and heard. It's very exhausting. I can imagine. I could well imagine that. So yeah, having to mask like that, like I understand customer service mask as I call it, right? When you go out into the world, you go to your job and you have to pretend to be the customer service. Everybody has customer service voice, right? If I say it, I'll respect from others. Everybody has this customer service mask, this customer service voice, right? That one that you put on when you pick up the phone and, you know, you're trying to be this quote unquote professional kind of thing. I get that. That's exhausting in and of itself. But if that has to be applied all the time, yeah, that could absolutely be something that just wipes you the fuck out. I feel like I have different strengths of mask, one for work, one for general public things, one for home, and authentic. Right, so like somebody had mentioned earlier, I can't remember exactly who, but like having a different mask for a different situation. Could you change the filter criteria for a more authentic presentation internally? I mean, you probably could. I have filters for what can be said, how does it need to be said, what is appropriate mode for conveying information, am I allowed to know what I know, etc. No, that makes sense, and I can understand that. That sounds familiar to me. Interesting. I like where this conversation has gone. Better for forest or that's what time with everyone, but for self-preservation. I'd rather be exhausted than vulnerable. That's a choice. Life is a variety. You can be yourself at the core, but imperative you need the right shimmer of it for the right situation. It can be. If that's your choice, then yes. Right? Unless it's a subconscious thing. Unless you're subconsciously applying this mask when you go out in public, on the phone, at work, at school, etc., etc. Prone to anxiety, choice paralysis, and picking the mask becomes very difficult. Conversion therapy from a young age. Yeah, that shit sucks. Health insurance folks need to be very disabled, but also very female and also charming. See, you gotta mix those up a little bit. Make sure the levers are at the right levels, right? I'm gonna go to the store. The 14-year-old's giving me a lip. No, there the mask fucking drops. You give me a lip. You watch what happens. Extra charming when I pay my bills. Right, so different levels of customer service voice, as I call it. If it's low. Heather, I'm saying voice as just an example. Will the body double room help give you time to unfilter and unhinge for a while? Interesting question. If you are body doubling with somebody that allows you that space to unfilter, unhinge, to be yourself, would you find something like that beneficial? We do. We all adjust to the situation. Oh, totally. Totally. Having a space where you feel safe enough to be yourself is something that is imperative for everybody. For everybody. Now, again, going back on topic, especially when you have a kid that comes home from school and is struggling like crazy, right? They come home, they have that meltdown. They need that space where they're allowed to be themselves. That's something we try and provide, right? We'll turn on children the last time I heard the mother and father do it. Fair enough. The balance of being the parent is enough of a struggle. And you get very good at the customer service voice. You can call them an idiot and they have no idea. Yeah. Yep, it's true. There are many, many ways to call somebody an idiot diplomatically without them knowing. Allow myself and filter thoughts working is when I'm sleep drunk, but it's worth a shot. Yeah, when you're up far too long. Look where we need space too. Both kids have full unconditional acceptance at home. They don't have to filter or mask at all. Which is good. Like providing kids with a space where they feel comfortable to do that can allow you to see these things better. And when and if it comes time for said diagnosis and assessment, these are things that you as a parent can help provide better insight on and better information on. Sometimes you just gotta rage. It's true. Did you get new words? Teaching children new phrases? I have no idea what you mean. I see that you are very dedicated to your current line of thinking. Yes, I find it very impressive the level of adherence that you seem to be displaying for your current line of thought. Adults, even if they didn't procreate, then you gotta have spoons to endure. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just bringing it back to the current topic. It does apply to everybody, for sure. But when it comes to kids and girls, right, seeing how... what does that mean? It means you're a dumbass. That was a diplomatic way of saying that I think you're stupid, essentially. I find your level of dedication to your current line... I find your level of dedication admirable to your current line of thinking. Something along them lines. Right? I don't agree with what you're thinking, so I think you're a fucking dumbass. I think it's so what kids, time to learn new words with Uncle Dan. Uncle Dan's got a new phrase for you. Crayon microwaving. Well, that's a new hobby. That's certainly a way of viewing that. Now let's look at other views. Let's look at other views for a while now. That's certainly a very dedicated way of looking at this situation. I suggest we move on to something that will work. Imagine, could he be dumber and maybe happy? Maybe. Ain't that a dream? All right, let me quickly wrap up what today's topic has all encompassed. So the ADHD diagnosis picture was built on little white boys. It's true, it's a fact, it's scientifically proven. The criteria, the assessment, the clinical instincts optimized for one presentation in one demographic, and that is hyperactivity based on hyperactive little boys. And they tried to apply that to the entire spectrum. Didn't work very fucking well. New neurophysiological research in the pinned paper, if you want to take a look, shows different brain signatures in males and females with ADHD across development. Same label, different mechanism. Potentially different interventions needed, especially with different presentations. Masking is real, it is documented, and it statistically is more prevalent in women and girls. Being good at hiding ADHD is not the same as having it, something we had discussed earlier. The misdiagnosis pipeline, anxiety, depression, BPD, eating disorders, things like that, is often downstream of unmanaged and untreated ADHD. It is not separate from it. The cost of that gap is documented in physical health outcomes. Again, an article I wrote a couple of weeks ago. In psychological distress trajectories. In decades of treating the symptoms while the source ran unchecked. Classic style estrogen-based birth. Tested a bunch of males. And since fine classic gender gap in research. Take a look at the paper I've got pinned up there. So if the topic today kind of landed with you somewhere specific and you're wondering about the next steps, assessment, second opinions, shit to bring up to your GP, check out my Scholar series on Substack, right? I take articles like this that just came out and try and break them down into more layman understanding. Like today's stream. This article specifically, I don't think I wrote about. I think I will probably write this one and put it up. Thank you, Jay. Remember, the basic information is there for everybody for free. The deeper dive ship, where I get all coachy and scientific base and whatnot, that hits the paywall, but all the basic info is there for everybody. Sometimes you go through medical menopause. ADHD goes 5 times harder, yes. And it takes your doctor a 5-minute conversation to ask you to pause and just sigh. Meds, yep. Menopause, perimenopause, things like that. I still have you here, DM on Twitch. Just remind me. Yeah, you should. I'm still there somewhere. Yeah, pretty sure you do. Yeah, brought to you by the letter Jingle Jingle. There you go. I'll find you again. If that's the case, just whisper me here on Twitch. If you're not on Discord, you can whisper me here. That works. I always forget to write my struggles. Well, I mean, now that you're thinking about it, yeah, voice memo. There's a great way. Right? Now that you're thinking about it, write a note. Is it serious, or am I just perimenopausal? See the doctor, find out. Because yes, in my home, I can absolutely attest to the fact, because my wife is doing perimenopause right now. And that in and of itself is one thing. But then throw in the hormonal aspect of it. I mean, anybody who gets a period will know that affects them differently. Perimenopause is that ramped up to 30. I'm not a big fan of mine for voice notes either, but if it's something that will help you remember, even if it's just speech to text, and you put it in a notepad on your phone. Set a reminder. Hey, there's one. Right? I use my phone here because it's always in front of me. And by always, I mean like 95% of the time. Yeah, talk to text works just fine. I find more and more that I'm using it as my left hand grows more unable to do anything. I find that talk to text is a godsend for me. Now, I would ask if you guys had any further questions, but you guys have been throwing out questions and your perspectives and all of that good stuff today, so awesome. I know what I'm saying, yeah. Deaf and speech issues. It's because you're a mumbly bitch right up until you're not. Busy looking at PDF, that works too. Sometimes too fatigued to type. Yeah, that happens too. But again, that's where something like speech to text will absolutely be a joy and benefit. It's my phone's job. That's right, to remind me of shit. It's what it's there for. Give me man enough speech is pretty clear. I have no idea what you're talking about. Dinner's ready. You gotta go. Bug y'all later. Well, your timing is fantastic. Have yourself some awesome evening. Enjoy your dinner. And we'll see you soon. Sometimes you use Siri to text people. Yep. So will I. Fucking dog these days. There you go. That works for you. That works for you. Only thing odd about me is my head. That seems legit. Almost called the cops on yourself once? Alright, that requires elaboration. Would you like to know more? Yes, I'd like to know more. I hope you're doing well. Add mop, then it went to call. Oh, God. Hi, Story. Welcome to the end. All right. I'm going to wrap shit up. I hope y'all learned something today. If you haven't, go back and watch the VOD. And remember, kids, if you have a topic that you would like me to specifically hit, make sure you put it in the coaching channel of the Discord, and I will do my bestest to do that, to get us there. But for now, I'm going to take off because, speaking of dinner, I should probably feed my kid because it's almost 6:30. You guys have an amazing day. What I'm going to do is we're going to roll the creds, and then, actually, no, fuck it. We'll, how about we do it here? How about that? Yeah, let's roll the credits. Let's do that. We'll do that here. And what we're going to do is we're going to raid into my friend Rosie, another mental health advocate who's also in the spicy stuff. The AD sex development thing. Please do. Please do. Whisper me here on Twitch, like I said, if you're not on the Discord there. Or if you're not in Discord. Almost made it all the way to the close. I know. But yeah. Texas beach run credits. Did you mean call the feds? Yes, I did. All right, you guys have yourself an amazing rest of your day. Let's go say hi to Rosie, blow up her chat a little bit. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the Discord. Make sure you drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. And I was lurking the whole time. I saw you. I saw your little avatar down there. Don't worry. Don't you worry. But yeah, let's go blow up her chat. I'm actually working on having a stream, a one-on-one with Rosie here. So I'm gonna bug her about that. Anyway, drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. I will see you guys soon. Until then, ciao for now.